What's going on, y'all? We are back again for another episode of Power Season 3, Episode 3. I got this on lock. Okay, so the episode start off not in New York, but in Washington, D.C. And I remember them saying that Anoki Oni, no, is it, what is her name? Anoki Oni Rose, Noni Rose. She was going to be on there. Old girl from Dream Girls, and, she played Kizzy on a new Kunta, and she being in Broadway. And let me just tell you this. I freaking love her as an actress because she is just so versatile. All right. And she's just showing all of it up in this episode. I said, bitch, what? Her name is Jukebox, okay? And she's a cop. So basically, we start this episode off in Washington D.C. and this guy, this young boy, he is at the store trying to get some stuff. Next thing you know, he got his headphones on and he hears some commotion going on in the store. And I guess the guy that he came in there with, he trying to rob the place. Give me all the stuff that you got. Give me the stuff. Give me the oxy. Give me this. Give me that. I said, what the heck? And you can tell that the other boy, I guess his name is Wookie, he was not there for that. They did not come in there to rob the place or whatever. He just came in there to get some stuff, and then all of a sudden this dude took it upon himself to want to rob the store. He was like, what are you doing? This ain't what we here for. He was like, fuck this. I got to get some money. Mind you, dude, before he came up there to confront him, Wookie was on the phone texting somebody. Next thing you know, because dude told him to watch the door. He comes up, and a police car comes up outside. It's Jukebox. The police car, she gets out the car, she comes into the store, and basically, at this point in time, we don't know that they know each other. And the way that it happened, I was just sitting here like, oh shit, they gone. They gone. I said, boy, just put your hands up, we don't need we don't need no more Black Lives Matter right about now. We don't need that right now. We got enough. Okay, we still trying to solve the rest, and next thing I said, oh, please don't let that be that type of situation. Next thing I know, it was like, so you called the cops, bro? I thought you was supposed to keep an eye on the door. Dude, the cashier guy was like, I triggered the silent alarm because, I'm working here by myself. Oh, girl was like, I wish you never did that. And next thing you know, she told the boy that was pointing a gun at him to shoot him. And shot the damn clerk. And then I'm just sitting here like, wait a minute. I didn't see all that coming. Like, so you a crooked cop? You are a crooked cop? I mean, it's not a surprise to see a crooked cop, but god damn, the way that they did it, I just said, wait a minute, so you running this whole little operation, and basically, she told old boy, didn't I tell y'all not to do shit off the books? What did I tell you about that? And popped his ass. And she said, look at the shit that y'all done did. Told the other one to get the fuck out of there. And then called it in there as an officer involved shooting, making it seem as if, she came in there and she stopped the suspect after he shot the clerk. Even though that is technically what happened, but it's a little variation in the details, okay? She knew the people and they got this little ring going on. So she goes back home. And at the crib, she got a bitch there. I said, oh, lesbians. I perked up a little bit like, I kind of figured it out. Sometimes they make them so hard. I said, she either doing this just to impress people or she really playing gay. And so she was a dyke on here. If you offended by that word, I'm a lesbian, so I can say that, so I'm sorry. But anyway, she gets home and she got bottles of codeine for her boo. Okay? And then, the bull talking about what's going on, what happened with old boy, because it's on the news. Everything is on the news, what she had done and all that stuff. And I'm just sitting here like, child, she done played it up and covered her tracks to make it show that she didn't do nothing wrong, okay? And basically they got this little ring going on and they could never trust old boy. And, she's still kind of shaky on the other one, but he gonna learn. And then, they together. Next thing you know, she go upstairs. Who upstairs? Who upstairs all burnt up and just knocked out and just fucked up? Kanan. I said, look at Kanan. Kanan, get your ass up. Get your ass up, okay? Because I'm ready for the shit to get started. All right? I bet you next week the shit is really going to get fucking started. But listen. So Kanan is up there knocked out. Then we get a little bit more into their background or whatever. Come to find out, on another scene with her, she goes and she's trying to talk to Kanan. He's actually up and he's asking for his pills and stuff like that. She won't give him the pills because, he won't tell her the full story as to what happened. He keeps saying that, he got into it with some niggas, they jumped him and all that stuff. And, that was what. And she was like, nigga, don't play me, okay? That is not the reason why you called me all the way from DC to come pick your ass up in New York and bring you back here and the lie that we told the doctors to get you treated or whatever. And what's going on? And she said, until you tell me the truth, you're not going to get these pills. Mind you, they're cousins or something like that. They're related. They've been knowing each other. And Jukebox, she got power somehow. And when I found out that I think they said that they was cousin, somehow related or whatever, I said I get it. Because they both got this, I got to be in charge type of attitude. Because every time somebody do something, Jukebox be like, next time, you do exactly what the fuck I say. That's what she told her girl. Because the girl come upstairs, right? She talking to him, and I'm sitting here like, is this bitch? Your bitch is right downstairs, and she seem crazy, and she seem trigger happy. She don't seem like she'll blink her eye if she shoot your ass, you know what I'm saying? You up here flirting with this nigga. Like, he wake up and he see her all up in there, all seductive wise. How you doing? I gotta, clean your wounds. You gotta keep your wounds clean. I'm an RN, so I know. And you gotta clean them so that your skin won't get tight. And you need to start moving their hands. Here, do this. I want you to do one thing with it. And next thing you know, he was asking for his pills. And she started rubbing on his dick. She was like, Jukebox said that you can't have your pills yet. And I'm sitting here like, Jukebox gonna kill your ass, okay? It was like, you can taste this. Gave him some drink, okay? I'm sitting here like, you finna get this nigga some lean and all that shit. Because she was like some Texas tea or some shit like that. He said, this don't taste like no tea. And then, she was like, Jukebox ain't finna give you your pills until you tell her exactly what's going on. He was like, I just got some demons and stuff like that. You know, she was like, people was coming after you. He was like, yeah, they got the best of me, but as soon as I get better, I'm gonna go back and get ghosts. He slipped up and said ghost. Nay, she looked like, okay. And it was like, you must mean something to her because Jukebox don't let nobody up in here. Bitch, he was like, yeah, we close to shit because I let her stay with me when her daddy kicked her out because she was gay and all that stuff. And it was like, so you her girlfriend? She said, yeah. Yeah. But I like niggas too, as you can see. I said, bitch, you gotta go. I'm like, you gotta go. This bitch is too much. Until she went downstairs and then Jukebox was like, so did you do it? Did you fuck him? Did you? I said, wait a minute. So you setting this shit up? You using your bitch to fuck your cousin or whoever the fuck he is to you to get some information out of him? He couldn't get the dick up, okay? And I was just sitting here like, this is all type of twisted. She was like, no, he couldn't get it up and all this stuff, but I gave him some style. She getting her feelings. Next time you do exactly what the fuck I say and fucked her right there on the refrigerator door. I was like, all right. Y'all twisted. That's not the type of shit I wanna, but I'll watch. You know what I'm saying? I'll watch. I was intrigued a little bit, just a little bit. It was like, you couldn't get him up, but your ass sure enough is excited. I said, whoa, you got the magic fingers. Oh, hit the spot. Oh, y'all remember, I take you to the candy shop. Come on now. Anyway, moving on from that. So we get this shit with Ghost. He running. Him and Angela having a little race or whatever down the street. Fine. And talking about, what happened at the club and my first night with the kids and all this stuff. Bullshit. So they having a race back to the house and all that stuff. And he gets on the phone and he texts Tommy. Tommy, I need you to hit me back. Mind you, the whole time, Greg ass is down the block watching them. I said, you couldn't make it any more obvious, all right? So Angela, she called herself trying to go shopping for a new apartment so that the kids, can have some place to stay bigger. She's looking for a 3-bedroom apartment or a 4-bedroom apartment, something like that. And then the lady was like, it's not really a 4-bedroom. It's 3 bedrooms with a maid's quarter. I said, what? What? The girl said, Angela said, well, the little baby, she just a baby or whatever. So that'll work fine. I was just like, Okay, she said, your boyfriend paying for this. She was like, he gonna pay half and I'm gonna pay half. Well, he gonna pay more than half. And I said, yeah, correct yourself, bitch, because you ain't got that money. And the whole time, once again, Greg is watching. Greg is watching. When she was with Ghost and when she was by herself, Greg is peeping all of this. I'm just sitting here like, you're gonna drive yourself into an obsession, and that stuff do happen when you just can't let go of stuff. And he just that's what he's on. He's on the verge of doing that. So we get this shit with Tommy and Tasha and Holly, the three fucking musketeers, all of a fucking sudden. Tommy is gonna go ahead with this plan with Tasha. They trying to get the money. I guess they cash the money, and because it's drug money, you gotta launder the money and clean it up. So they trying to get Holly up in this bitch. So and explain the game to her. What we gonna do with the money? Okay, you see this shop right here? Oh, it's weave. What we gonna do? Okay, we gonna take all this money and we gonna buy this hair weave. Okay, and then we gonna sell it to other people. So you mean to tell me it's gonna sell? How it's gonna sell? How you know it's gonna sell? They ain't gonna have no choice but to come to us, baby. You wanna know why? Because we gonna sell it lower than the competition, okay? And they ain't gonna have no choice. And we gonna take that money and we gonna double it and all this stuff. Okay, that's how we clean the shit. That's how we learning in this money. I said, okay, this is why we got Tasha on the side, because Holly dumbass would have fucked shit up, all right? And you know, Tasha, she goes to Keisha. Keisha got her own shop now. I was looking at the show, Tiffany and Tanae, y'all go check them out. And they was doing a power review from last week, and they brought up Tiffany brought up a good point. Where the fuck did Keisha get the shop from? Because during the first and second season, she was acting like she was poor as shit, and now even on this episode, she was like, I can't wait till, because we make some money and all this stuff, and then I can go buy you stuff, talking to Tasha and all this shit. And, Tasha was trying to sell her on buying this type of weave and all this stuff without trying to, tell her exactly what's going on. And it was just, she was just being so shysty and shady with it a little bit, trying to make sure that she don't catch on. But Keisha ain't that damn smart. She ain't gonna catch on anyway. And so she brought Holly into the shop to see what's going on. When Keisha saw Holly, bitch, Keisha was about to fuck that bitch up. She was like, bitch, you gonna let her come up in here? This the bitch that stole your goddamn earrings, and you gonna let this bitch come up in? She was like, girl, I know, but this is Tommy's girlfriend, and we cleared the shit up, and it's all to the good. She was like, bitch, just watch. If that bitch look at me wrong, I'ma cut that hoe. That's all the vibe that Keisha was giving. She wasn't fucking with her like that. And so, when they was leaving now, Holly and what's her name? Goddamn, what's her name? Holly and Tasha, they in the car on the way back, and they basically vibing a little bit, just a little bit. She giving her a rundown of what happened and all this stuff that y'all hear when Holly came up into the shop, and she was like, "Oh my God, what's that smell?" She was like, "That's hair. You will get used to it." Y'all know when you with them hot coats and that weave and shit, bitch. What? And so all of a sudden, while they driving, they get pulled over by the cops. And then here go Holly, she freaking out. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. I got all this money up in here. She was like, bitch, close the bag up and put your seatbelt on. And then she was like, don't say nothing. Holly, all nervous and shit. Tasha just like, yeah, officer, how you doing? License and registration. Okay, here we go. He gonna put the light in the back like he looking for something. I was like, what you trying to do? Okay, you asked for license and registration. Why you trying to search the back? Ain't nothing back there. Next thing you know, Holly, I said, Holly, shut the fuck up. She gonna say something. But, she did say something. I was a little taken aback by the way that she said. I said, bitch, that's the only thing that you came up with. You went into your white privilege and you just said, oh my God, sir, because they pulled him over for a legal lane change 1.5 miles back. So you waited 1.5 miles to pull me over? Okay. And she gonna say something, oh, this is my nanny, okay? And we're just trying to hurry up and get home to the kids. I told her to keep on driving. I said, yo, goddamn nanny, bitch. You might as well said your fucking maid, ho. Okay? And then Tasha, because they in New York and it's a melting pot of, Caribbean, West Indian, Indies and all that stuff. And so next thing you know, she put on a Jamaican accent, talking about something else. I didn't know that I, ran the stoplight and all this stuff. And I said, bitch, I gave a horrible accent. And I'm sitting here like, I know the cops ain't buying this shit, but he brought the hell out of it. I said, what? What? And they let them go. They up in Tommy Place just vibing and stuff. Oh my God, I didn't know that you was so good with voices. She was like, with my fake ass Miss Cleo accent. I said, don't do it because Miss Cleo just died, okay? May she rest in peace with all her Anyway, so she was like, can you do Tommy? She doing Tommy voice. I said, don't fuck. Because, I don't know why, but I just got that vibe like something was about to happen between them. Cause it was like, is Holly trying to come on to Tasha a little bit? I mean, they both drinking and stuff. You just never know these days. I mean, we started off with some dyke shit. I mean, some gay shit. So, you just never know. You just never know. And I was like, please don't go that route. And then Tommy came in right there, and they started talking about, well, Ghost, how does it feel, knowing that Ghost ain't there, and how could he do something like this to the family and break up the family? I said, Holly, you shut your mouth right there because you don't even give a shit, okay? You just saying this so you can see where Ghost is at. And then here go Tasha, the kids, they with Ghost, they stayed at the bitch house, he with his bitch, okay? They stayed at the bitch place and all this stuff, and, he gonna be over there at Angela's and all this. And so when Tasha leaves, here go Holly telling Tommy, see, now you found out where he at. He at Angela's house and you can go kill him. I'm sitting here like, why are you so eager? I know y'all lives is on the line, but why are you so eager to kill this motherfucker? Something about Holly is, who the fuck are you working for, Holly? I just want you to hit me up, okay? And hit me up in a YouTube message or, Twitter or whatever, and just tell me who the fuck you working with. Cause bitch, I'm not buying your shit. You're doing a little bit too much for me, okay? Too fucking much. You're a little bit too fucking eager for me, okay? And I just don't trust your ass. And you still need to die. But anyway, Tommy had just came back actually from dealing with some shit with Julio. Julio, remember last week the Koreans let him they offered some free pussy to him, okay? Tommy didn't take it, but Julio sure enough did. And he was banging the shit out of old girl. And he was like, girl, where you from? She was like, Seoul, Korea. And then she was like, that's what they supposed to told me that I supposed to say. But for real, I'm from Fort Lee. I said, wait a minute, the accent left? I said, look at this shit. Y'all selling pipe dreams up in this bitch. She was like, you're so big. You shouldn't have to pay. I said, Julio was getting it in though. And so they was doing, she was like, you want some drugs? He said, baby, you just had some before we got it in. She was like, it don't matter. I mean, it's okay. Dylan give us this stuff and the shit weak as fuck. And he was like, wait a minute, what? He felt offended. He said, hold on. Tommy, you need to hit me up ASAP. So basically he's sitting down with Tommy and the head Korean guy and was the daddy. And was like, what's going on with this drug shit? Y'all diluting the shit, and whoever diluting it, making it more, and they only giving you part of the money, okay? They taking money from your end, and then you putting out this weak shit. It's gonna come back on us, so both of us gonna be in some fuck shit. And it was like, well, see, that's what the fuck happened when you give us a promise and say that you're supposed to give us a certain amount, but you don't get a certain amount, so we gotta go to these means. I said I knew it had to be something. He let that shit go a little bit too easy last week. Okay? He let it go a little bit too. The son was so high-headed. But the daddy was just like, oh, you got to give respect and you got to do this. He let it go too easy because he out here deluding and shit. And I really don't fucking blame him at this point because you told me to get me this product, this certain amount, and I don't have that certain amount. But, that's going to fall back on him. And that's what he was trying to not to do. I just said, oh my God, this is a mess. So James, we get this scene where the two dudes that took his DJ last week, they're having dinner with this lady named Karen Bassett, okay? And next thing you know, they was like, hey, we want to get the check and pay. It was like, oh, your bill is already paid for. Who paid it? James did. And he come up and he was like, it's already taken care of. And he was like, I don't know what you're doing because they got inappropriate business manners and stuff like that, but I paid for the check. Who are you? He was like, my name is James St. Patrick, and you are Karen Bassett, right? I know who you are. I remember your face and all this stuff. And you doing business with them, I don't know why you doing business with them, but you need to come holler at me, basically. That's basically what he was saying. And he left because he was like, it's time to go. So they got the little boy shook. Next thing you know, Karen comes over to the club and was like, I see what you did. I did my little research about, Stern going down, and then Mrs. Stern getting some of the clubs and you taking two of his clubs and turning them around and all this stuff. And I'm gonna do my research on the both of y'all, on you and the other boy, because I want to get to know you personally and as well on a business matter, because I want to take this department store that's across the street and turn it into an eco hotel, and plus put a bar and a luxury nightclub up in there too. So she trying to figure out who gonna take that bid. And I'm just sitting here like, oh. So now we finna do the same thing with the club shit that they did. Bidding. It's gonna be like a bidding war. That's what it feel like. So once again, we get another scene with Angela and Ghost, and they basically making plans and all that shit. I don't know. All I know is they finna depart, and Ghost leaves, or I should say James. And who is across the street once again watching them? Greg. And Angela spots him this time and go over there like, why the fuck are you following me? He was like, bitch, I ain't following you. I'm following Ghost. It was like, your ass been compromising. You know that he's still doing wrong. No, he not doing wrong. He was like, oh yeah, what is this? Pulled out a phone. See, he was watching him when he was going into Tommy's house, or trying to get in contact with Tommy, and basically put it out there saying that he's still in contact with Tommy. It was like, that nigga ain't changed. He's still doing dirty or whatever. He lying to your ass. So now she thinking about shit. I said, come on now, Angela. Come on. All of a sudden, we get this scene with freaking Tariq. He is at school showing his friend Calvin the fact that he done took old girl gun. He was like, I had to move it because my mama was cleaning up the room. First of all, you too damn old for your mama to still be cleaning up your goddamn room, okay? That's one. Second of all, why bring it to the fucking school and then a gym teacher come over there seeing the child still outside past the buzzer? Like, what the fuck y'all out here doing? He take the bag and he see that, he was like, is it drugs or whatever? See that it's a gun, so of course it's gonna have to be some action in there. Angela, she was getting all in her feelings, and she's nervous and scared because she was reaching for her gun when she was talking to Greg, and Greg like, what you trying to do? You think I'm finna, you gonna shoot me or whatever? She was like, bitch, I don't know what the fuck is going on with you, so hell yeah. Okay, she go to the house or to her little apartment, and she searching like, where the fuck her gun at? She don't see it in the safe. She don't see it where she left it the night before. It's nowhere to be found. Next thing you know, um, they get a call basically that to come up to the school. Tasha and James come up to the school. Tasha was already there, and they was like, "What is it? Where did Tariq get a gun? I know. Like, how can he have a gun? Now, I know you, bitch. I know that you got a gun in your house." And I said, "You know what, James? You know what, Ghost? You got your goddamn nerves to blame this woman for this shit. After all the bullshit that you didn't put her through, both of y'all done put each other through. But this bullshit right now, you directly just go to her." You put all that shit on her. I said, you know what? I can't wait till they bust him out and it's your bitch. Okay? It's your bitch gun. And sure enough, that's exactly who they said it was. It was like, it's for Department of Justice, a Department of Justice agent or whatever. Angela Valdez. Bitch had her name and all that shit. Angela should be suspended for that. If you ask me, that bitch should be suspended for that because she was fucking careless, okay? Anything could have fucking happened, and they was going to expel the little boy, but, Tasha did what Tasha do. Okay, Tasha said, so, this little girl, she was doing this, and her mama, they was stealing money out the vending machine, and they still stayed. This little girl did this, and she still stayed. The lady was like, no, that was non-violence offenses. Okay, your son brought a gun. And I said I was agreeing with the lady too, until they was like, so you saying when that little girl was on that lacrosse team and they beat that other girl with a stick, they got to stay and not get expelled, but oh, you're gonna expel the little black kid? I said, come through, Tasha. Even though your logic is a little bit flawed, because bringing a gun to school kind of trumps all of that shit, because you just never know what pops off and all that stuff. But, she got her son to stay up in the school. Ghost gonna say, son, you was great up in there. She said, bitch, and you wasn't. You was no help at all. You think the reason why he doing this just to be doing it? No, bitch. It's because of the shit that you doing. Okay? And he's just looking all dumbfounded and everything. Come over to the house trying to talk to the boy. I would have yoked that little nigga up because he was mad disrespectful. He gonna say something. I brought the gun for protection. She said, bitch, you in a private school on the east side. I mean, white kids be shooting at the schools. look at the news. And I said, wait a minute, he got your asses on that one, okay? He got y'all asses on that one. But he was just like, mad disrespectful. He was like, you ain't here to protect us. No, I ain't finna get my phone up. I said, yoke his ass up. He did, Ghost did just a second. But then after that, once again, he talking about something. Maybe I moved too fast with this kid meeting Angela, because Tasha said them kids ain't never going to that bitch house, never. All right, and I said, come on, this is the reaction that I've been waiting for you, Tasha. And then Ghost get over there to Angela house trying to come down on her. She like, well, bitch, let me tell you something. When I came home, the kids was already here, so I ain't had time to put the gun up. So that's what the fuck happened. And then they get into it and all this stuff. And they say, she brings up Tommy. So you went to Tommy, you seeing Tommy? He was like, nah, I ain't seen that nigga. And I was like, uh-oh, she gonna think that you lying because dude done told her. But he told the truth. He said, I went by his house, but he wasn't there. I've been calling him, but he don't want to fuck with me. So there you go. And then she want to be like, well, I'm sorry, baby. It all good. And he was like, you want me to cook? Okay, cook. I said, get out of here, and threw that renter's insurance paper application into a drawer. I'm just like, you guys irk me. Then this shit with Kanan. Kanan, they ain't have his pills yet. Why they couldn't get the nigga a clean t-shirt? Look, that white beater that he had on when he was looking at himself in the mirror and he was typing up his shit, it looked like the same white beater that he got his ass whooped in last season. Okay, I said, damn, y'all couldn't wash his shit or whatever. So the boy that came out of the shooting or whatever, his name is Dirk. The one that got killed is Wookie. Okay, and he basically over at the house talking to Jukebox like, I don't know about this. And she was like, yes, you do, bro. This can, you don't want to have to pay Sally Mae for your whole college tuition and all this stuff. This job can take care of that. Kanan listening like, you need to let this little nigga go because he ain't even ready, whatever the fuck it is that you're trying to do. Dude was like, I ain't no little nigga, I ain't no little dirt nigga, whatever. And he was like, look at you, Two-Face, you burnt all the pieces, pork rind. Called him fucking pork rinds. I laughed. And so I was just like, girl, you gonna get yourself fucked up dealing with these little kids. You really are a Jukebox. Learn from your cousin. He telling you right. The little nigga ain't ready. Greg also met up with some dude. I guess he like a DEA agent or whatever. But he did y'all notice this little tattoo on his face? And he was talking about I need some info on the Lobos case. And then he was like, didn't you hear that Lobos is dead? And he was like, well, I need some information on James St. Patrick Ghost. And people was going after Tommy, and he not really the drug distributor. It's James, okay? And it's, Angela Valdez, she been compromised. Dude straight up said, fuck that bitch. I said, God damn. Y'all really don't like her, and he was like the only other person that can verify or confirm, that James is doing all this stuff is Ruiz. And they just Ruiz, yeah. And they trying to find out where he at. And so he said, okay, cool, I'm gonna use my contacts to, get him some information. Greg needs to die. He gonna fuck around and get himself killed. He really is. So we get back to the Korean guy and come to find out the dude was just putting on the front for Tommy, okay? But it was his son that was skimming money and taking money from him. And basically he was using this old Japanese technique and making the son basically cut off his own finger in repentance. And I said, you know what? I don't have time. He literally, forgive me, Father, and cut that shit. Anyway, moving on. Holly, she finds out that she pregnant. She trying to see what it is that Tommy gonna do. She don't really put it out there that she pregnant, but just trying to get a feel what the fuck you gonna do. You gonna do this shit for Lobos and all this stuff. And he really wasn't paying no attention to her because he was playing a video game. And then he get a text from Tariq. I'm like, Tariq don't got his phone, so who is texting him? And basically saying that he got, kicked out of school. He got in trouble in school. He snuck out. He's at the basketball park and all that stuff. And so Tommy goes out there to go find him. And it switches over to Kanan being with Jukebox and asking her exactly what the hell it is that you're doing and you got set up. And she questioning him like, you didn't tell me the whole truth and all this stuff, but you was right about, oh boy, I'm testing his loyalty and all this shit. And he was like, my girl, she didn't know what you meant when you said ghost, but I do know. It was like, so you talking about Ghost, the one that you raised to be a gangster. What happened to fucking Sean? Her thing was, what happened to Sean? And then she put this story together basically saying, okay, so you gave birth to Sean. Well, you helped bring Sean into this world, but you wasn't there to raise him. He was raised by Ghost. So basically, Ghost used him as a pawn in the game, and Ghost is the one that killed him because you came back because he found out, that he set you up and all this stuff, and Sean turned on him. So Ghost had to take him out, and so that's what happened, and Ghost did this to you. I'm thinking that 50 Cent gonna just go ahead and let that shit ride and be like, yeah, Ghost did that shit. He said, no, I killed that motherfucker because he chose Ghost over me, just like you chose that nigga right then over me too. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm thinking she finna go off. I said, y'all niggas is related for real. He said, she was like, you did what you had to do. I mean, it's your fucking son, but you ain't raised that nigga. Ghost did. He was just a pawn. Now, see, he was like, why didn't you come to me with this stuff? He said, you not black no more, you blue. She said, exactly. And I got access to everything. It was like, you want me to find out stuff? I can find this shit out. And he was like, no more secrets, no more secret. Sipping lean and everything. I'm sitting here like, this is just so crazy. Then we get with Tommy. Tommy looking for Tariq, and it was Ghost that set it up. And he was like, I told you about playing on my motherfucking phone. He was mad. But basically, he told him, Ghost put it out there and said, I know you weren't trying to, talk to me, but I know you would have showed up for Tariq because you still a good uncle. And I know Lobos want me dead. I know he know that I don't want to put that hit out on him. And Tommy looked shook for a second, okay? But he was trying to keep his composure because Ghost put it out there and showed that Tommy is dumb. He said, bitch, you saved me that night. When you called me, you saved me, okay? Let me save you. Let's get back together and let's be Tommy and Ghost again. Because when you make a mistake, Lobos gonna come after you and kill you. Tommy got pissed and he caught on real quick. He said, when? Not if, but when. Fuck you, Ghost, okay? You still the same ass motherfucker and I'm done with you. Goodbye. And I'm like, Tommy, you gonna take that deal because he gonna go back and he gonna think about it. And he gonna realize that regardless of how he may feel about Ghost, Ghost got his back and Ghost is telling the fucking truth. Okay. You need Ghost, okay? Because you're not that smart, Tommy. But that was power. It was cute. Y'all tell me how y'all feel. I can't wait till Kanan get his arm back together. And Kanan finna go wreck some shop. For some reason, I just want to see some chaos happen, okay? Y'all tell me how y'all feel, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.